again to the Biker Summit. So my name is Teemu Arina, and
I'm Dr. Olli Sovijärvi, and this is
Jaakko Halmentoja.
so we are the co-authors of the Biker's Handbook, which is over here. How many of you have this book?
nice. So about 50% still doesn't have it. So on our stand, go get it.
It's thick. How long did we write this, and what's the story?
Yeah, well, the story was that, in short, that Teemu came to my doctor's appointment, and he was actually healthy. So he was into all these gadgets, and you had your own design how you healed yourself. But then we connected, and actually at the same summer, we decided to write this book. It was 2013. So the Finnish version came out in 2016, and the English version about a year ago.
That's right. So biohacking is all about optimizing your health and productivity and well-being. And in the end, like if you think about it, it's about optimizing your relationship to your environment, removing distractions, looking stress management in terms of external stimuli. How do you adapt yourself to different conditions? And also in terms of dietary intake, like how nutrition becomes part of you.
Yeah, so basically today we go through different kind of stacks and protocols. Did anyone of you listen to our podcast when we were as a guest in Ben Greenfield Fitness podcast last summer? A few of those. So you guys know what's about to come. So we go through these different kind of protocols that have helped all of us, Teemu and Jaakko, to recover, track recover, boost immunity, and so on.
Right. So optimizing yourself starts from a single day, basically. How did you, Jaakko, optimize your day today? Like, how did you wake up and come here?
Today was actually really nice because I've been also going all over the place, even off from this event to giving presentations and all that. And this morning I was so chilled because I got to sleep a little bit. But this morning it was just cold shower, a little bit of yoga, and coming here.
That's wonderful. I'm not going to tell you about my morning routines, but how about you, Olli?
Yeah, I'm very strict to my routines. Even yesterday, it kind of went quite late, the upgrade dinner. I still did my recovery routine, which meant that I only got to sleep at 2:30. But as Arnold Schwarzenegger put it, you have to sleep a little faster. So I did that, and it was quite efficient. And actually woke up 1 second before my alarm clock, because I set the intention before I went to bed, I want to wake up at that particular point of time. So that actually worked. Then I have my morning routines, and we go through these also. So I don't want to skip a routine. I rather than sleep a little faster.
Wonderful. In terms of optimizing your environment, there is a lot of discussion in the self-improvement and self-development community about willpower, that you just don't have enough willpower, or you don't have the right routines, or whatever, that you are not in charge of yourself. But in the end, it's not really all about that. The easiest way to be in charge of yourself and your time and your attention is actually to optimize your relationship to your environment. So for example, when we've been writing this book, I have a separate computer that is only for writing, and it's not connected to the internet, and it doesn't have social media applications and all that. So when I switch my context into this device through which I do the work, it primes me right away for doing that type of work. And the other thing is that I'm not doing it at the office, where I'm usually running around from meetings and a bunch of different social interactions online. I do it at a summer cottage. So most of the book was actually written while having sauna, ice swimming, and no time, no schedules, no phone calls, no social media, nothing, just focused time on writing. And I think that's kind of what we've been doing for the last 5 years, producing it, right?
Yeah, and still doing it. We are planning to do our second book. We're not going to be talking about it today, but there's a second book coming up, probably within 1 or 2 years, that we go deeper. But the key word is resiliency.
Absolutely. So you are what you repeat. All great men and women throughout history have had routines. Some of those routines are driving you forward, some of those are holding you back. Understanding and becoming aware of your routines is key. So if you take yourself back to your own morning routines, what's usually happening? Like in what sequence things are happening? If you just imagine your typical morning, and to change behavior, it's actually easier to inject something new into an existing sequence of rituals or routines than to create completely new ones. So if you don't, for example, exercise, one of the rules that you might have is that while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, you're going to make just like a static like wall sit, or you make a push-up or pull-up, or every time you speak on the phone, you stand up and you do a few kettlebell swings like Vessi is doing in the audience. I learned that from him. So it's about greasing the groove, or greasing the...
Greasing the groove, yeah.
Yeah, greasing the groove, basically
Yeah.
like finding small moments in your day where you're injecting new behaviors. And if you do that for 7-8 weeks, and it's producing the reward mechanisms, the biochemistry, the neurotransmitters that are telling you that this behavior is better than the previous, you're already on your track for that to become the default that you don't even think about. Now, in terms of different protocols, we're going to go through 5 different protocols in our presentation here. The first one is optimal businessman's workout. Now, Olli has kind of perfected this, so why don't you guide us through this?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons was that I wasn't efficient at working out. I was spending a lot of time, but I realized that I was exhausting myself. And there had to be like a better way with minimal amount of time to create the stimulus that's actually needed for the body. So you can do like multiple sets with weights, but you still don't get the stimulus. So there's a combination, you can put these together. So the WBV means whole body vibration. So what I'm doing in the photos is whole body vibration and having some red light, infrared light. And I'm actually been using this kind of X3 bar, which is based on variable resistance. And the stimulus is insane. You just do one set, and I've been playing around with this about like 6 months, and I've never felt better or stronger. You can combine this and be more extreme. You can do like hypoxic training with like an elevation training mask and even electrical muscle stimulation. I haven't done the whole protocol, but there are guys who have done it, and they are reporting like constantly to us that it works like crazy. You want to load yourself with good nutrients. So maybe Jakob, you can tell about this. You have formulated this biohackers exercise chocolate.
Yeah, we made a few batches of a different function by our brand, Foodie, in collaboration with Biohackers Handbook. This specific one is, of course, for your circulation, inducing nitric oxide production. And beetroot juice powder is actually pretty good. You can get a lot of that in a small amount, and that's in there. And there's some maca extract, and of course cordyceps. That's the original VO2 max for your lungs, for your adrenal health. So that's a nice combination of stuff that you can put into a chocolate, and that's of course for me at this time of the year a really nice snack while doing computer work.
That's right. So with these protocols, what we are doing, we are stacking things that have synergistic effects. So doing one of these separately is not as effective as doing these all at once. And how many of you have seen this ultra spiritual guy on YouTube?
JP Sears.
JP Sears. He has an amazing video about biohacking protocols, like how you can combine everything at once. And actually, he was an inspiration for us. Like, hey, how can we combine these things? and so these are things that we came up with. Now, there's all kinds of technologies on the market that you can use for these kind of things, in terms of whole body vibration, in terms of muscle electrostimulation, in terms of variable resistance training. You can just get some resistance bands and get yourself going with these things, combining that with some hypoxia training, and using supplements that are expanding your capillaries and helping oxygen delivery. Now, in terms of exercise, different types of exercise affect different parts of the brain. So just like meditation, different forms of meditation. If you're focusing on your breathing or into sounds or your touch, or you're focusing on all loving kindness, it affects different parts of the brain and makes connections in those areas. In a similar way, I find it paradoxical actually that in today's world where we are doing knowledge work, that we sit stationary in front of our computers, and this is kind of the society we live in, we are not exercising our large muscles enough. Because actually, if you want to improve neural growth factors and regeneration and actually increase connections on certain parts of the brain, the most effective way is actually exercising the large muscles, large muscle groups. And the body and the brain are definitely connected. And the more we work with our computers and with information, the more actually we should work out as well. But it's kind of counter what society has been going for. And in US, for example, the average expected lifespan has been declining now for the last 2 years, and pretty much because of stationary and junk food and all that, and metabolic crisis that is happening, and also in terms of brain health. And I'm really worried about the society where on the average people's brains are not functioning very well, and we can see that in the management.
So if you want to upregulate your prefrontal cortex or complex thinking, reasoning, multitasking, problem solving, lifting weights and doing even like one set of push-ups or one set of pull-ups throughout the day. So you're kind of doing micro workouts, you're constantly activating the prefrontal cortex, you're able to do better work with less effort. So combining different kind of exercise regimens, you can do like walking meetings or combine these kind of things and stretching. So when you're exercising your body, you're also exercising your brain. So that's the key.
That's correct. Now, in terms of optimal mental recovery from the work that you do, you can also do like a recovery protocol on steroids. And Olli has been using a Neurosonic bed for quite some time, and he's reporting like improved amount of deep sleep, for example, by using this kind of really gentle, low-level vibration. And at the office, we like to combine this with some photo biomodulation technology. Here is one of our actually closing keynote today, Tunna Milanov from Mad Ventures at our office doing this protocol. So he's on a spike mat here, he's on a whole body vibration bed, and he has a red light on top of him. Maybe some essential oils are being diffused that are helping his nervous system to relax, like lavender. We just gave him some reishi. He's listening to binaural beats or pink or white noise through his headphones, and he's completely zoning out and doing deep breathing techniques, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds holding, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds holding, box breathing basically. And when you do this for 20 minutes, just the feeling of recovery in your body is on a completely new level.
Yeah. I think Jaakko has also, you have your own recovery protocols, but not worry.
And what came to mind from this is what I do these days a lot. I do sauna around 7 p.m., something around that. That's what I've been noticing, that it doesn't affect sleep that much in a negative way. If you do it right before sleep, I feel it increases your heart rate and all that. But after sauna, what I do these days a lot, I have this yoga swing. So aerial yoga is probably familiar for most of the people. So just getting mechanically the blood flow in after the sauna, that has the effects for your heat shock proteins and all the goodies in your brain. But just the inversions, I think that's a really overlooked aspect. And of course in yoga, most of the poses are inversions. So late at night, before I go to bed, I like to get the blood flow going and invert myself in a yoga swing.
Good one.
That's wonderful. It's also great for extending the spine, and it's not very easy to extend these parts without pulling your head and hanging from something. Is amazing. Now, if you look at optimal immunity and how do you enforce and build your immunity at this time of the year when there's all these pathogens going around, you can also do something about this. And Olli, what do you usually do to make sure that you're not sick? I know that you're never sick for the last 10 years or so. You had a kind of a fluke trying to come in?
Yeah, I've been struggling
Yeah.
about 6 days, but I'm standing here.
But you basically just like got rid of it. And
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so you can, of course, you have to do the basics, like enough vitamin D, which is activating the T cells and stuff like that. And then when you have the basics covered, you can go a little bit further. So this kind of stacks is based on post-damage research on neurogenesis, but it also has an effects on the optimal immune system working. So some kind of medicinal mushrooms, Jaakko can probably tell more about these. Yeah. So what would be good ones for immunities in particular?
I think in these types of events, I also stack kind of an antiviral protocol because there might be viral vectors going on. So the alcohol-soluble parts of the medicinal mushrooms, often in the form of tinctures, is more potent against viruses. And if you want to kind of train your immune system to be smarter, have all the prebiotic effects in the gut and, train your gut to be more smart, then reishi, chaga, all of these things are at the foundation, at least for me. And that's been working. I travel 200 days a year, and over a decade, I haven't been sick once. And that's, of course, through your gut intelligence, all the fermented food, all that goodies. But definitely chaga and reishi especially have been a lifesaver for me.
Perfect. So you can stack these, and the idea behind this stack is that you open up your microcirculation. So ginkgo biloba is a very good one on that, and you can do also other similar stuff. And niacin, like not like a super heavy flush causing niacin, but like a 50. If you put the previous slide on, it's about like 50 to 100 milligrams. So Teemu actually you accidentally took niacin this morning.
I had an accident basically. I came to this venue, and people give me all kinds of supplements. And I try this, and I treat this, and I took one of those, I guess, too much in terms of I was stacking niacin, the kind of flush version of it. And when I came here, I was like, my face is burning. Like, did I put something on my face? Like, it feels like sun is shining, and I'm about to go on stage. I go completely red, and I feel like, okay, I'm having some kind of allergic reaction here or something like this. And then I realized, okay, I just overdosed on niacin. Has anyone done this? Overdose on niacin by accident? Yeah.
So you know how it feels. I always tell my wife that I'm going to this. What's rapu? Rapu in English.
Rapujuhla vai?
Rapu. I go to rapu. I don't recall the English name, but basically means that I go all red, and I look like this.
Like a crab.
Crab, yeah, yes. Crab. So, so that's like my crab protocol. But every once in a while, it's good because it opens up the microcirculation, and it actually causes this kind of rebound lipolysis after 2 hours of the ingestion. So in that case, you release a lot of toxins from the fat cells, and it's actually a detoxifying method. And then you go to infrared sauna and sweat it out. And after that, spending there about 20 to 30 minutes, go back, yeah. You go into a cold plunge, and you spend there 2 to 5 minutes. So this kind of combination is like steroids for your immune system in a good way. So you're boosting up it so comprehensively that if you do it regularly, I would assure you rarely get sick.
Yeah, niacin on its own has even shown great benefits for the cardiovascular system. But what you're doing here with sauna and cold alteration, all that, you're exercising your largest organ, which is your skin, and your cardiovascular system also with the microcirculation and in the micro veins. You're pushing things further deeper into your system. And with these anti-inflammatory herbs, and niacin actually opens up slightly the blood-brain barrier. So when you get the compounds in from lion's mane that increase neural growth factors on the prefrontal cortex, you're just pushing, the medicine deeper into the synapses and nerve endings, and you get the effects that you're looking for. Now, in terms of immunity, there's all this talk about strengthening your immune system, but a good example or kind of boosting your immune system. Actually, what's happening when you're boosting your immune system, you can also get out of balance by having an overactive immune system. So That's what we see in people who have autoimmune diseases. This is what we see also in certain diseases are like Ebola is a good example that actually hacks our immune system so that it goes overdrive, and that's what kills you eventually. Now, what is more important is about balance, finding the balance between things that are stimulating and things that are weakening, and finding the right balance here. So you can go overboard also by doing too much cold plunges and sauna and all that. So the dose makes the poison here as well. Now, in terms of dose makes the poison, what happens in a city environment, I've noticed, is that in terms of stimulation from sounds, from people, from cars, from emails, messaging, communication, all that, it really stimulates my nervous system. So my sympathetic nervous system is kind of on the active side all the time. And even though I do all the biohacking protocols in a city environment, the average kind of stress level is still a little bit elevated. What I noticed when I moved into nature, so I was basically living in a cabin. This was the view that I had from the window. It was completely off-grid. The company behind this is Maya Maya. They make this amazing tiny house in a way, but also off-grid living solution. I had some solar panels for a little bit of energy, but in the end, that's how I was working. And all these ocean waves hitting the rocks, releasing all that negative ions and all that. I just, I didn't need any biohacking stacks and protocols. And what I noticed that when I was in the nature during that time, even though I was working as much as I did previously, but I was swimming in the ocean, I was breathing fresh air, and I was completely off-grid from electronic devices and human beings and all that. I just saw different animals every day and birds and all kinds of activity. The view was every day different, was stimulating me in a very different way than a city environment. And I just noticed that my average stress level went down tremendously.
Yeah. I want to go, Jaakko. You told one interesting thing before this speech. What are you going to do after this?
After this, I'm gonna hit the sauna straight away. That's pretty much the thing.
Yeah.
I think I had a protocol for years that after I gave presentation, wherever I am, I go to cold water straight away. And that's for me because in these kinds of environments, we get stimulated also socially. You have a good conversation and all the dopamine and oxytocin and all that. And you get like ramped up quite a bit. So whenever I felt that, cold water works better than anything that I've found. So that's definitely one of the things that I do also these days in between working sessions. And of course that induces noradrenaline and all the goodies also. So that's a nice thing to add in. We're trying to often figure out that there's the problem and just think about it. But if you change your physiological state, you can hit the problem with the very different eyes.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend that you use our thermogenic spa. Go outside. There's actually sun outside, and you can get some fresh air, sun gaze, go into sauna, cold plunge. Even better if you have a chance after the conference day, go into the forest or find a park and ground yourself.
Yeah, the closest place is actually Mustikkamaa, which is you just go this direction and you cross the bridge and you're basically in nature in the middle of it, and you don't see any civilization there.
Yeah.
And that will be the ultimate recovery protocol for sure. I mean, there is a lot of discussion about grounding and if there's science behind it or not. Like, I mean, we've been looking at the reviews, and it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah. For example, yesterday evening when I came back home, I was kind of feeling a little bit of stiff and strained from the day. I went outside and just went barefoot. Even it was pretty cold, the ground was very cold, but within 5 minutes, the tension was away from my neck. I felt better. I felt kind of like there was this kind of electrical currency running through my body. So if you're not grounded, it's very natural to be grounded. So if you're not grounded, I would suggest that you do it at least once a day so that you have the contact to the earth.
That's correct. Yeah, and you can, work with nature in so many different ways, and there is, all these supplements on the market, but most of the most effective things are actually natural products.
Yeah. So the idea of this stack, active recovery is that you go into the forest, especially in the springtime, you forest some wild herbs, and you do this self-made vinaigrette. So Jaakko, you can tell about this vinaigrette and why it has so great ingredients in it.
And what would you collect also from nature?
And
For all of you guys from the States or whatever. Well, I think the basic idea is good takeoff that whenever you have plants in general, there are compounds that are extracted more if you use a solvent. And of course, that has to do with the pH and acidity increases certain things or certain compounds to extract more from there. So always play around with different fats or oils. Use something acidic to get out the more novel phenolic compounds and all that, whether it was in the bone broth with lemon juice or apple cider vinegar or in a salad. So I think all of these broths in essence are like a decoction, a kind of a tea. Even if you put vegetables in there, you just extract more of the goodies out of that. So that's what I do this time of the year a lot. I have this broth with medicinal mushrooms and ginger and all the spices and everything in a one brew. And that's pretty much what I'm sipping the whole day. So the same idea can be made just into salad dressing by actually mixing a lot more spices in there using the apple cider vinegar. This is basic stuff, but good reminder that increases the bioavailability quite a bit.
One thing that I learned from you is also to use sea algae like spirulina and chlorella also in your vinaigrettes. And what I learned from Sami Thalberg, the chef of the Upgrade Dinner, is to use sea buckthorn juice instead of vinegar. You can also overbrew your kombucha and use that as a vinegar base there. But in the end, also, getting in touch with your food, like collecting your own food, like with dandelions and stinging nettles, and they have just so much more powerful stuff because they are in nature and they are fighting all these natural pathogens and bacteria and fungus and all that, and that makes them produce the medicine. Things grown inside, indoors, in controlled environments they are not as resilient, I guess, as these plants. And you should definitely figure out, what are the herbs in your immediate environment that are edible, and in the season, use that free supermarket, by the way, as much as you can. Now, in terms of
the last stack is we have about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. How to track your stress and recovery throughout the day. So this is probably an example of your. Is it actually from Slush event?
Yeah, this is another huge conference in Finland that's organized, and there's the first day and the second day. Both days I had 14 meetings and a presentation. On the first day, I was deliberately not doing anything special. I was just running from one meeting to another, like many people do, and I was measuring with my Garmin VivoMove HR my heart rate variability. I also now have the BioStrap that gives me live HRV information. So I can see the activation of my sympathetic nervous system and the states of recovery and rest. And on the second day, what I did was just one mindful breath, eyes closed, with the person I was sitting down. So I would sit down, I would take an app called Insight Timer on the table and ask that person to close their eyes and do some deep breathing techniques while sitting there. And you can see the results immediately here. And actually, this idea was handed over to me by one of the people I met there. One of the first meetings, Kalle Freese, he just put the phone on the table. Teemu, it's a busy environment, conference, why don't we take together one mindful breath? And we did that. And I continued doing that all day long. And this was the result. So, yeah.
Yeah, in short, what you want to measure is, of course, the heart rate variability. You have different kind of metrics in it, but the one you use most is the RMSSD. You want to see your resting heart rate recovery, especially during the night, average resting heart rate, sleep quantity, quality, and then if you want to go deeper into the stress systems, there's morning cortisol, saliva cortisol levels, and HSCRP. So you see over there that the HRV curves are highly variable depending on the individual. Usually the more fit you are, the higher the HRV you have. But that's not always the case. If you have very sensitive nervous system, you might tend to get a little bit lower HRV because you're reacting to so many stimuli and you need more recovery. So that hammock curve is from O-ring. So that's actually an optimal like a form of resting heart rate throughout the night. So it goes low and it goes the lowest point about middle of the night, and then it starts going up. Next one.
So basically,
Next.
if you notice at night that your the lowest heart rate is late in the night and it doesn't start increasing, you're not sleeping enough.
Yeah. You can, if you don't want to use like a specific like Oura Ring, you can use app like Welltory, Elite HRV. Do you have experiences of these apps or?
Not too much.
Not too much,
Only
yeah.
Oura and a few other older devices, but
How many use like Oura Ring here?
Okay.
110%.
That's all in.
Elite HRV.
Any real time
Few.
during the day HRV measurements? I think that's going to be a big trend in the future. And yeah, I've used Welltory also. It gives very interesting statistics about your day. It's very good for just sitting down for 1 minute, and it gives a pretty thorough analysis of the state of your
Yeah.
nervous system.
Well,
Now-
what I would want to see is I haven't tested the BioStrap yet, but like real-time recovery, real-time HRV. This Garmin's watch is very good in that. It's based on the First Beats algorithms, so I can basically see what you have. Like if you have this ECG measurement system device for 3 days, I can basically see it from my watch or the phone throughout the day. So this has been a really interesting add-on for the daily recovery and the daily stress levels.
Yeah. So this is what your typical day should look like in terms of balance, that you have enough of those recovery moments throughout the day and your night is full on recovery. But if you're just pushing yourself too hard, taking all those phone calls, trying to fill in every single minute with, productivity, this is what easily happens. You go to sleep, you have all these ideas in your mind is still working. Your body is in a state of crisis, still waiting for something to happen, and you're not getting that recovery, and by the end of the week, you feel like crap. But if you do get some deep breathing techniques in, you do, these recovery protocols, you do all of that, you will get those moments of recovery throughout the day, and it will prime you up and set you up for a much better night's sleep. And
you can sleep a little faster for
Yes.
a while. But if you do it like a year in a row, I don't know how Arnold did it, but you're gonna suffer, especially if you're like genetically kind of person that needs more sleep. Maybe he doesn't need that much sleep or it's just a Terminator, but you can do it for a short period of time. Then you need the recovery time.
That's right. So with that, our book dives really deep into how you can optimize yourself. If you don't have a copy yet, we also have a digital copy, but you can get the physical copy here. But anyway, with that, that's basically the official launch of the Biker's Handbook in English. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.